Hello everyone, welcome back to the new lecture. So in this lecture, we'll discuss the classification of fire in detail. So let's start. So fire classification. So remember, fire classification vary slightly by reason but are generally divided into classes based on the type of fuel involved. Okay. So fire is divided into 6 classes A, B, C, D, E and F that are primarily based on the fuel that is burning. Okay. So this classification system helps to assess hazard and determine the most effective type of extinguishing agent. So different countries and standard may have slight variation in classification. Example, class F for cooking oils is European standard, but in some country it is represent as a class K. Okay, so don't be confused. So let's see one by one each classification. So in that, the first one is given class A fire. So what is this? Class A fire are fueled by solid combustible material such as plastic, wood, paper, textile and furniture. So here you have to remember one thing, that class A fire involve ordinary combustible material which ignite and burn at relatively low temperature, leaving ash as residue. Okay. The example of class A fire is house fire involving furniture, because this can occur when items like sofas, curtain and wooden table catch fire, often due to candles, smoking material or faulty electrical equipment. Okay. Now the next is the class B fire. So here it is written clear that class B fire are fueled by flammable liquids such as oil, paraffin or petrol. So the example of class B fire is gasoline fire at a fuel station. Okay. So spilled gasoline can ignite. All of you know that spilled gasoline can ignite from spark or static electricity, quickly leading to a fire that can spread if fuel or vapor continue to leak. So this fire is best extinguished with foam to smoother the flame and prevent reignition. Okay. So we'll discuss each class in detail. So don't worry about that. Now the next type is class C fire. So class C fire are fueled by flammable gases such as methane, propane or butane. After that, the next one is given class D fire. Okay. So class D fires are fueled by flammable metal such as titanium, aluminium or magnesium. Okay. So the example of class D fire is magnesium fire in a manufacturing plant. So magnesium is what? All of you know that magnesium is highly reactive and can ignite when exposed to high temperature, spark or friction. So once ignited, it burns with an intense white flame and can reach extremely high temperature. Okay. So this is the best example, magnesium fire in a manufacturing plant. Okay. Then titanium fire in aerospace manufacturing. This is also the another example of class D fire. Then we have a class E fire. So what is this? Class E fires are fueled by electrical appliances such as TV, computers and hair dryer. Okay. So if I give you the example, so suppose if there is a fire in electrical panel fire in a building, it is the best example of class C fire. Even computer server room fire is considered as a class C fire. Okay. So there are lots of example. Then finally we have a class F, or it is also called as a class K fire. What is this? See, class F or class K fire are fueled by cooking fats or oils. Example, in a kitchen setting, if there is a fire, that fire may be categorized as a class F. Okay. So the best example of this fire, we know that deep fryer fire in a restaurant, that is considered as a class K or class F fire. A deep fryer can catch fire if oil become overheated and reaches its flush point. So this is dangerous fire that is spread quickly due to the high amount of oil. So here generally we have to use a wet chemical extinguisher for smoothing the flame and preventing reignition. Okay, so remember this all types of or the classes of fire. Okay, so now let's discuss each classes one by one in detail. So as I told you, the first classes of fire is class A fire. So let's see what is this. So as I told you in starting also, class A fire involves ordinary combustible material, okay, which ignite and burn at relatively low temperature, leaving ash as residue. Class A fire are the most common of the 6 different classes of fires. They occur when common combustible material like wood, paper, fabric, trash and light plastic catch fire. Now the question is, which type of extinguishing agent or extinguisher we have to use to extinguish class A fire. So here it is given, the appropriate extinguisher used to tackle a class A fire include dry powder, water, foam and wet chemical extinguisher. So you can also use the water based extinguisher to extinguish class A fire, because all of you know these are the most common and effective means, as water cool the fuel below its ignition temperature. So water is the best extinguishing agent to extinguish class A fire. Even you can go for foam extinguisher. This can also be used because we know that foam creates a barrier between the fuel and oxygen. Next class is class B fire. So as I in starting only, as I told you that class B fire involves flammable liquid, okay, which can ignite easily and burn intensely. Okay, and remember one more thing, this fire do not leave ash as residue. So here it is given, flammable liquid include what? Gasoline, most oil, most paint, alcohols. Okay, now which type of extinguisher we have to use to extinguish class B fire? So it is given, the appropriate extinguishers used to tackle a class B fire includes CO2 gas, foam and dry powder extinguisher. Okay, so these are the, you can go for foam extinguisher, because foam is effective for class B fire because it creates a barrier over the flammable liquid surface, smoothing the flame and stopping vapor from escaping. Even you can go for CO2 gas, because CO2 displaces oxygen around the fire, which suffocates the flame and reduce heat. You can also go for dry powder, because this can be used to disrupt the chemical reaction in the fire. Powder agent can smoother flame and prevent the fuel from igniting. Okay, so we have a different option, so as per you can use. But remember one thing, for class B fire do not use water. Why? Because water can spread the flammable liquid, making the fire more extensive and dangerous. So always remember, do not use water. Okay, for class B fire. Now let's see class C fire. So class C fire are fueled by flammable gases. Okay, flammable gases include hydrogen, butane, methane, ethylene. Okay, so here the appropriate extinguisher which we have to use to tackle a class B fire is a dry powder extinguisher. It is the best extinguishing agent, okay, to tackle class C fire. Now the next one is the class D fire. So what is this? See, remember the class D fire involve combustible metal which can ignite and burn at extremely high temperature. Okay, so these fire are rare but particularly hazardous because they often burn more intensively than other classes of fire, and they can react violently if extinguished properly. So here it is given that class D fire involve combustible metal as the fuel for the fire. Metallic fire involve flammable material like titanium, aluminium, magnesium, okay, and potassium. So class D fire cannot be addressed with water, as this can enlarge the fire and be potentially dangerous. So remember, never use water for to extinguish class D fire. Okay, this point you have to remember here. And dry powder agent are the best solution for smoothing the flame and limiting damage to property or people. So because remember, this dry powder extinguisher contain agent specifically designed to handle combustible metal. Okay, so the powder forms a layer over the metal, cutting off the oxygen and dissipating heat, because we know that for fire we need three parameters. What are that? Fuel, heat and oxygen. So if you cut off the oxygen, so automatically the fire goes out. Okay, and here remember one thing, as I told you, you have to avoid water or foam extinguisher to extinguish class D fire, because water and foam are extremely dangerous with class D fire. Okay, water can cause violent reaction, especially with metal like sodium and potassium, which can explode on contact with water. Okay, so avoid water and foam extinguisher for class D fire. Next, here it is given that combustible matter are less common in household and more common in industrial fire. Generally, this classes of fire you will get in industrial. Next one is the class E fire. As I told you that class E fire are also known as electrical fire, which involve energized electrical equipment. Okay, so this electrical fire are one of the most common household fire types. Electrical fire fall under class E, and in some country it is also represent as a class C. Okay, so don't be confused, and are common in facilities that may heavy use of electrical equipment. Construction site are another common class E fire risk. Okay, electrical fire required non-conductive material to extinguish the flame, so water alone is not a good solution. So never use water here to extinguish class E fire. Why? And don't need to use the water or foam, because water and foam both are conductive and can increase the risk of electrical shock, which could endanger anyone attempting to extinguish the fire. So never use water or foam. Okay, now here see they have given which type of extinguisher we have to use. The first is given the appropriate extinguisher used to tackle a class E fire include CO2 gas and dry powder. So you can go for CO2, because CO2 extinguisher are highly effective for electrical fire because they are non-conductive and displace oxygen, smoothing the flame without leaving any residue. Okay, even you can go for dry chemical powder extinguisher. Dry powder can also be used for electrical fire, as the powder smoother the flame and stops the combustion process without conducting electricity. And some specialized electrical fire extinguishers is also there. Okay, some areas with if you have a sensitive electronic equipment, so may use extinguisher that contain clean agent which are non-conductive and leave no residue, making them suitable for electrical equipment. Okay, so here some safety tips you have to remember in your mind while using for class E fire. First of all, if it is a safe, first of all you have to turn off the power if possible, and do not use the water or foam. As I told you, always you have to use the non-conductive agent only, like CO2 and dry powder. Okay, now the next class is class K fire. So what is this? As I discussed in starting that class K or class F, in some reason it is represent as a class F fire. So this type of fire involves cooking oils and fat, typically found in commercial and residential kitchen. Okay, same point is given here. In Europe and Australia, these are class F fire. So class K fire involve flammable liquid similar to class B fire but are specifically related to food service and the restaurant industries. So as they can spread quickly and be difficult to manage, so class K fire are some of the most dangerous. So here remember, you have to remember the important safety tips for class K or F fire. Never use water here in case of class K fire, because adding water to a grease fire causes violent splattering which can spread the fire and cause severe burn. And after that you have to turn off the heat source. If safe to do so, turn off the heat to stop further heating of the oil, okay, which can reduce the risk of reignition. And then use specialized extinguishing agents. So which type of extinguishing agent we can use? You can go for wet chemical, the best option, wet chemical extinguisher generally, because this contain a potassium based agent that react with the hot oil, forming a soapy film that smoother the flame and cool the oil and prevent reignition. So this method is highly effective for class K or F fire. Okay, here see some common material is also given for class K fire, like vegetable oil, cooking grease. So this is all about the classes of fire. I hope all of you enjoy the session. See you in next class.